quite the task. Start out, take all these covers off, drop the steering column. That's pretty self-explanatory. There's 2 bolts and 2 studs. There's a bar that comes around there, little round bar that you got to take off. There's 4 studs with nuts. There's a bracket down there. You got to take that bracket out. There's 13 millimeter and then another 13 millimeter down here. Both sides, that's the same. And down here, there's a 13 millimeter bolt that you have to get. I'm loosening that now. There's bolts, 10 millimeter bolts across the front here that have to come out. That cover just pops up out of there. It locks down right there. And then you just pop all the clips up and then just pull it back. That's pretty easy. Okay, on this model year, 2019, they put 2 bolts in. One there, one over there, that you got to go down through the dash to get. Once you get them and the side bolts off, the dash starts coming back. And once you get the dash back, there's a ground right here. 2 grounds. Got to take them off. It's going to be holding up the whole process. Now we're starting to peel her back. I may have to start bungeeing stuff up, like over there where it's hung up on the steering column. Now I'm going to have to bungee that up so I can get this back far enough to start working on that heater box, AC box, HVAC system. It's down in there. Okay, update, there's another ground here that you got to get off on this side. It stays with the dash assembly. That's all basically an assembly. Go around here on this side. The antenna, them grounds, and there's a couple plugs here that you have to unplug. That one goes down to that one. Plug there. So now we're pretty much in here. I'm getting ready to bungee this up to the handle here where it don't fall down on me when I try to get in here to this heater core door. Okay, next step. There's 7 bolts and studs with nuts. Total 7. Mixture of. That hold the AC and heater assembly in. You have to disconnect your heater hoses. You have to disconnect your AC, vacuum it down, and a recovery bottle, and get your 7 bolts out there. Pretty visible. They're all painted with a white head on them. I'm sorry, with silver. They're all painted silver. Not painted. They're not painted. They're just silver. Get that straight. You got to get them out. There's one down there, one there, one there. There's none over here, as you can see. There's the big box. There's your heater hose connections. And then we got to take all this apart. I think the top of this is going to come out with these torque screws. Pop that off, and then we can get the heater core out. Okay, next step. See these screws I've loosened? I put back in 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 silver screws. But, oh, and you got to take this motor off, stepper motor. 2 screws on that, it just comes up off of there. It don't appear that I'm going to have to take and disconnect anybody just yet. But the downside of this deal is they have, from the factory, these little plastic molding rivets, it appears to be in it, and it's not going to separate with them in there, so all of them have to be drilled out. So I'm about to get the 90-degree drill and get in here and drill all these little plastic molded rivets out. Okay, so yeah, you do have to drill all those plastic rivets out. I got her off. As you can see, I didn't disconnect anybody. I had to unclip this guy from down here and hold him up to slide this deal out. It was on there, so I got that out. Next step is to wiggle this guy up out of here and work him around everything. Hopefully I won't have to unplug probably this wire, because he goes all the way around to a stepper motor on the far end, so maybe not. Okay, as you can see, the bottom of the heater core was saturated in antifreeze, so it was definitely bad. Where it was leaking, not real sure. Looks like a stain down through here. Can you see it there in the light just right? So maybe the top tank started leaking or something, I don't know. But on the cords, I didn't have to disconnect that stepper motor over there. I was able to just take all the clips off and pop it over the top of that duct and get it back far enough to slide the heater core out. Okay, so the next step actually is do yourself a favor and buy a GM heater core, original equipment. It comes with all the foam that has to be installed on it. But that's the next step, is getting the foam put on the new one and getting it stuck back in. Okay, next step is to clean out the antifreeze that's down in here, so it don't smell all nasty and you think it's still leaking. And then put heater core in. Okay, next step, put assembly back up in there. Get your stepper motor and your 3 screws back on the top. Then prop it up, get it in place, make sure it's in all the way. You got a bottom drain down here, make sure your drain's hooked up, lined up, and then prop her up, and then go out and put all your screws and bolts in through the firewall. Okay, we're at the next step of putting the nuts and screws back in. I got most of them back in. I figured I'd show you guys this little tip. Take black tape and put on your socket, bring it around, lap it over, and then bring your other piece up and pull it off. Don't lap it over. And put it on your swivel. Tape your swivel around to make it nice and stiff. And put a piece of tape on your extension to where it's really nice and tight going into your universal there.